Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I have a roll call, please, Laura?
Councilmember Bonatakis is excused. Councilmember Cassidy.
Present.
Councilmember Facey Blackwood. Present. Councilmember Forrest.
Present.
Councilmember Janot. Present. Councilmember Trigiano. Here. Mayor Portman.
Here. We're going to jump right to the best part about this meeting, hands down. We have a bunch of champions in our midst, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations, guys. I'm going to lead everyone here in a sing-along of We Are the Champions. Ready? We are the champions. No? All right. So let me read this proclamation on your behalf. Borough of Red Bank Rockets Middle School Boys Soccer Team 2023 Championship winners. Whereas the hard work, dedication, sportsmanship, talent, and camaraderie of the 2023 Red Bank Middle School Boys Soccer Team has enabled these student athletes to earn the Shore Athletic League Championship title. And whereas Red Bank Middle School Rockets Boys Soccer Team won the Shore Athletic League Championship by beating Ranny School Panthers. It just gets better and better. And whereas Red Bank Middle School Rockets Boys Soccer Team has brought honor to Red Bank School District and the community, finishing the season 9-2-1. And whereas the entire coaching staff, team member, parents, faculty, and student body at Red Bank Middle School were integral in helping the team to victory through their unwavering support. Now, therefore, on behalf of the Borough Council, I, William Portman, Mayor of the Borough of Red Bank, do hereby recognize the Red Bank Rockets Middle School Boys Soccer Team for achieving the great accomplishments of winning the 2023 Shore Athletic League Championship.
Come up and take a picture.
I'm gonna give everyone, I have a certificate of excellence for every player. So yeah, we get a picture first. Gentlemen, you look recognized individually. All great.
Okay, you, Eduardo, let me see. Let me see this. Let me see.
Look at that.
Thanks. Hey. I see you also. I see everybody.
My pleasure.
I see you, Mr. Schmetterer.
You should go up front.
Yeah, I gotta be able to see you. Eduardo, you're tall. Stay in the back.
There, right, Deputy Mayor?
No, I could. I see you.
All right, guys. All right, smile. Yay, we are the champions. What other town has a mayor that would do that?
All right, right here, guys.
Thank you.
All right, give me a chance on three. 1, 2, 3. All right, nice work.
I have individual certificates for each player, so let me. Yeah, absolutely. Want to speak first, Coach?
Yeah, perhaps.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah. Sure, why don't you guys have a seat? We'll bring you up one by one and
Thank you.
actually, Coach, do me a favor, speak here in the microphone so everyone can hear you online listening as well.
All right.
You want here, do you want it? I can bring it over for you and you can face everybody. If you
Okay.
want. There you go.
Maybe a little more nervous. All right. Good evening. My name is John Rue. I am the assistant boys soccer coach at Red Bank Middle School. On behalf of Coach John Andronovitz, our athletic director, Isaac Nathanson, Superintendent Dr. Jared Rummage, our principal, JT Pearson. I also want to thank Mr. Doherty, Mr. Lagelli for coming out tonight, administration and the team. I want to thank Mayor Portman and the council for inviting us here tonight to receive this recognition. John Lennon said, "I'm an artist. Give me a tuba, I'll bring you something out of it." At Red Bank Middle School, if you drop a soccer ball at the feet of a student, chances are they'll bring you something out of it. We are a soccer school. This year, we began our season by having 49 boys try out for our squad. Eligible players must be between grades 6th through 8th. By my math, those 49 boys equate to over 25% of eligible students. I know many more boys beyond that would love to be on the team, but did not come out for various reasons. The players you see here with me tonight are the best of that group. Going back to the years before 2020, I was not a coach at the time, but from what I know, it was typical to have over 50 boys come out for the team. Those squads would have undefeated seasons and bring home championship trophies. It was the norm. Unfortunately, the 2020 season was canceled for us as it was for many kids around the world. In 2021, we were able to take the field again. That season was my first season as the assistant coach, and we were led by Coach Kristen Maiello. We had 25 kids try out. Everyone made the team. We had a third place finish that season. We weren't back quite yet. The following year, we had 30 kids try out. We had a fantastic season, but unfortunately, we lost in the championship and took home second place. So close, but still not where we wanted to be. This season, I was excited to get started. This had to be the year. We had a big talent pool at tryouts, and our final squad had all of the elements. We had talent, skill, speed, size, and some of these kids can kick a soccer ball really, really hard. However, we had a rocky start to our season. We ended our first match in a tie. That match was followed by a loss to our rival. We were 0-1-1 to start the season, but I was not worried. All the components were there. We just had to come together as a team and build our confidence as a collective unit. Steadily, this squad did just that. What made this possible is that this is a team comprised of gentlemen. This is a first-class group of kids that support each other and do what's right for the good of the team. From that point on, we would go on to win all of our games for the rest of the season, except for one against the school that you mentioned, when we again lost to our rival. No worries, we would see them again. We saw them again in the championship game on their turf. The game was competitive from the start, both teams going back and forth, but ultimately we went into the half down 1-0. No worries. Then the second half began and it was magic. Led by our captains, Kevin Cuenca and Jason Ramirez, we put 5 goals in the net in a matter of minutes. We rolled through the second half and we got to celebrate once that final whistle blew. We were back. This team is deserving of experiencing the joy that we all felt that day. Their hard work, their selflessness, camaraderie, and sportsmanship were rewarded in the end. I'm proud to be their coach, and I am proud of them. I want to thank you again for inviting us tonight, and we hope to be back again next year.
Yeah.
Now I'd like to call up each player for individual recognition. I played soccer my whole life from 7 to like 48.
Yeah, he did.
Not easy to do what you guys did. You're champions. You'll always be champions. Congratulations. I have Certificate of Excellence, individual recognition.
Ryan Aguirre.
Woo.
Actually, just, you know what? Come this way next time, guys, when you come up. Yeah, there we go. Come on up, Brian. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Position time.
Yeah, Ryan. One.
There, right?
Sixth grader.
Yeah.
He'll be back next year.
Nice.
David Aravalo. David A. Gael Castillo, center field.
Congratulations. Nice.
Christopher Cervantes, he was ill today.
Aw.
Captain Kevin Cuenca. Neil Flores, Tony.
Buddy.
Enrique Kike Guerrero. Johan Jimenez.
Congratulations. Thank you. You are more than welcome. Thank you.
Giovanni Jimenez. Marto Leonardo. Rafa Lopez. Kevin Pansell. Alex Ramirez. Captain Jason Ramirez. Fernando Ramirez. Henry Salinas. Oro Santa Maria.
Yeah, Eduardo.
Oliver Tiro. Kevin Tobar. Juan Vasquez. Eden Velasquez.
One more time for the champions.
Thank you. Great work.
If you guys want to sneak out now, you're welcome to stay, but you don't have to stay. Either way.
Oh, you come back. Yeah, come back. redbanknj.org. You can find the council meeting schedule. You come. No, well, Lana took him and had him sit in the. They have to leave, so. It's right there.
It's still there.
Yeah, that.
Dan, you can stay. I get to react to you, I'm not that chair.
Not answering.
Chair.
Kids. 22 kids.
Yeah.
49.
Oh, yeah. It's really, he said, say 25%. Some ridiculous percentage of the whole students can try it out.
It's great. 49.
Yes. That whole nother. Crazy, right? Okay, moving on, we have one more proclamation. It's the 75th anniversary of Human Rights Month. Whereas the 75th anniversary of Human Rights Month marks a significant milestone in the global movement for justice and equality. It is an opportunity to reflect on the progress made over the past decades and acknowledge the challenges that still remain. This anniversary reminds us of the enduring importance of human rights and their role in shaping a just and inclusive society. Reflecting on the past 75 years of the human rights movement, it is evident that significant progress has been made. During this period, we have seen the dismantling of discriminatory laws, the advancement of civil rights, and the recognition of the inherent dignity and worth of every individual. Through the tireless efforts of activists, advocates, and grassroots organizations, countless lives have been positively impacted and oppressive systems have been challenged. Despite the significant achievements made in the past 7 decades, it is essential to acknowledge that the work is far from over. Discrimination, inequality, and human rights violations persist in many forms across the globe. Eradicating these deeply ingrained prejudices requires a collective effort to challenge and change societal norms and attitudes. In 1948, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights was adopted by the United Nations. This groundbreaking document recognized the fundamental rights and freedoms to which all individuals are entitled, regardless of their race, gender, religion, or any other characteristic. Civil rights movements across the world have fought for and secured legislative changes that ensure equal protection and opportunities for marginalized communities. From the ending of apartheid in South Africa to the legalization of same-sex marriage in numerous countries, these victories represent the power of collective solidarity and a tireless pursuit of justice. The human rights movement has seen gains in the recognition and protection of vulnerable populations. Efforts to advance women's rights have resulted in the establishment of laws and policies that protect against discrimination, violence, and gender-based inequalities. The rights of children have also been prioritized, leading to broad advancements in education, healthcare, and protection from exploitation. Indigenous communities have fought for recognition and preservation of their culture, land, and self-determination, leading to important strides in the recognition of their rights and the need for inclusive policies. In celebration of the 75th anniversary of Human Rights Month, we proclaim our commitment to upholding the fundamental rights and dignity of every individual. Human rights are the bedrock of a just and equitable society, and it is our duty to protect and promote these rights for all. As we reflect on the progress made and the challenges that persist, let us come together to renew our dedication to the principles enshrined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, William Portman, Mayor of the Borough of Red Bank, on behalf of the Council and citizenry of Red Bank, do hereby proclaim December 10th, 2023 as Human Rights Day and December 2023 as Human Rights Month. I call upon the people of Red Bank to join us as we honor the past, address the present, and envision a future where human rights are universally respected and upheld. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the Borough of Red Bank to be affixed this 14th day of December, 2023. Okay, are we not doing the public hearing on the,
They just can, it's right, they can speak at public commission.
okay. Okay, got you. But again, it's just for that, okay. Can I have a motion to open up the public hearing?
Make such a motion, Mayor.
Can I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, someone doing a presentation?
No.
You just said.
Summarize it.
I know Darren's on Zoom. Darren, do you want to summarize, if you can, for everybody, the New Jersey Green Acres Park Development Program for improvements at Count Basie Field?
Sure, Mayor. So this is a grant through Green Acres. It was the second time we're submitting this grant. We submitted it last year. We were unsuccessful, but we're trying for the next round of funding. It's approximately $1.1 million for a complete rebuilding of the bleachers, the home side bleachers, to include the concrete structure, all the benches, and the press box. If anybody's seen it lately, the bleachers aesthetically are not very pleasing, but also the metal benches. We've had to remove several of them because they were damaged beyond use and were had sharp edges that could cut somebody. So while they're safe at the moment, they're definitely showing their age. From the best we can tell, they're about 90 years old and in need of replacement at this point. But as everybody can see from the price tag, it's a large number. So without some sort of funding from Green Acres or another source, it wouldn't be, necessarily the top priority project for us, but it is a good project for this particular grant. And that's why, between myself, the engineer, and our grant consultant, we submitted this project.
Right, and so you're just basically we're letting everybody know that we've applied for this grant, and when do you think we hear about it?
We didn't actually apply yet. We're having the public hearing. The application is due later this month. We had to do this public notice first. We should hear sometime around July of 2024. We should have the result.
Thank you, Darren. Anyone have any thoughts anyone who's here have any thoughts on the grant that we'll be applying for?
We did.
Yeah. We opened that up, yeah. No, anyone online or? All right, well, hopefully we'll get the grant. Yeah, Ben,
Can I make a comment?
sure.
I've been to it many times, obviously, in the last few years that I think public schools have done a graduation there. I think it's time that we somehow find a way to fix the bleachers. Actually, one concern that the manager didn't mention that really bugs me is there's no railings. You know, you go up there, and I guess back in the day when they built in the 30s, there's just no railings up there. And you know, it's in desperate need of attention. I've been to a lot of events there that were not connected to Red Bank Catholic. I know a lot of people online were saying Red Bank Catholic, you know, it's a community place. A lot of things happen there. You know, it's been 70 years, I guess, since we've done a lot of work there. So I think actually applying for the grant makes a lot of sense because it is a big ticket item. You know, the Parks and Recreation Program runs a lot of stuff there. You know, it's an important asset to the community. So I certainly support applying for the grant. And if that doesn't work, you know, maybe finding some funding. Because at some point we will have to take action. You know, we could even possibly have liability there. It's not particularly safe. I mean, you have to be very careful up in there. So that's my comment, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll just state that, you know, the boys that literally just left the room that we were celebrating, you know, a project like this impacts them. This isn't do we want to do this or not want to do this? It's only a matter of time before it has to be done. I agree that it's a liability. It's, you know, it's unfortunate that the price tag of work is the price tag of work, but if that's the cost of this project, you know, we can't say, oh, we're just gonna let our bleachers fall down and not have bleachers. That's not an option in this case. So I hope that this gets pressed. I hope that Green Acres hears us, that this is a really worthy project. And I hope that, you know, that rolls the ball forward for us to, you know, easily be able to do this. So if you're out there listening to us, please consider us for your grant. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, yes.
Good evening, everyone. Do you need my name and address? Alan Hill, 64 McLaren Street. So just a question really about the grant. Is any attention going to be paid to the conditions of changing rooms and showers, storerooms, offices and kitchens? Or is it just the bleachers? I understand, having not ever been in the changing rooms, but that they are in need of upgrading and bringing into the 21st century.
Darren, is there
Yes, there is. It's not so much for the kitchen, that's a separate building, but everything that's contained in the bleachers. So there's a locker room in there, changing areas, Mr. Hill said. And there's some storage areas used by DPW. So that would all be refreshed and updated with the spring.
Thank you.
anyone else? Okay, and I have a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make such a motion, Mr.
Have
Mayor.
a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Next up, we have public comments on agenda items only. Can I have a motion to open up the hearing for public comments?
So move.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Poku, you got your hand up first.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is William Poku, 90 Bank Street. They working?
Move it closer if you can.
William Poku, 90 Bank Street. Okay, I'd like to start by setting up a low pro. I've got a few agenda items that I want to cover, but a low prop is going to help me explain everything. Pardon the official, unprofessional nature of it. All right, so I have here a bottle with water in it that represents developed affordable land. Water. It's an empty bottle, that's vacant land, affordable. Water, developed developed affordable land. Water, developed affordable land. High fructose corn syrup. High density luxury apartments. Now, I'm speaking relative to the developers agreement in one of those resolutions. What happens is that the developers agreement is between Red Bank and the developer, but I recall that a long time ago when the lofts were being built, NAACP was involved in the agreement because NAACP is concerned about affordable housing. Now, you have to understand that the whole doctrine, Mount Laurel doctrine, came about because the NAACP sued Southern Burlington County, and that's what brought that landmark case in 1969. Now, we have a situation here in Red Bank where we're asking for one of those resolutions, something that basically translates to a transit village. Now, if you want to really see what a transit village looks like, go over to Atlantic City and see whether that's what you really would like to happen in Red Bank. Now, if what is being proposed was eventually going to lower taxes for long-term residents, I'd have no qualms about it. We're building some more cedar crossings, and we're getting people to come out into Red Bank and build a nice, diverse community. That would be perfectly all right. But one would think that if you brought in $1 million high-density property, the revenue generated should benefit all these existing long-term residents. But that's not the case. That's not what's happening in Red Bank. People are complaining that despite the fact that we're pulling in huge amounts of revenue from all these high-density luxury units, the taxes keep going up every year for the past few years. And one of the reasons, in my opinion, is what's called the Assessment Development Program, where it looks like we're relying on some kind of a computer program or whatever to generate what it believes is fair taxes for all. But what it's really doing is fair taxes for the profit-driven industry. So What am I gonna do about it? I have brought action against this town. Okay, so there's a pending lawsuit asking for the courts to review what we're doing. So my suggestion is that you need to put the brakes on the idea of Transit Village and start thinking about how we can make this place more affordable and welcoming to all kinds of people. So I'd like to bring your attention, and please, if my 5 minutes is up, wave and I will shut up and go away. I'd like to bring your attention to the story of Nat King Cole. Nat King Cole was a very, very wealthy and accomplished musician. And he moved into some area in Hollywood, and the folks that lived there didn't want him. They tried to burn his house, try to buy it and all that. But eventually, what happened was that they kept on harassing him because he was like an undesirable in that community. Red Bank is at a crossroads. We don't want to create anything like that, like what Nat King Cole was. We have established a great infrastructure here, lunch break, the Bon Jovi place, and people can go out there and get stuff, but they have no place to go to sleep. Need to change that. So that's my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Poco. Maybe a minute to pack it up and then. By the way, you must love those Tostitos, right?
Yes.
That's it. You're like, I'm gonna save these jars. I know I'm gonna have a use for them one day.
I like picante. Yes. And that's one of the nice things that the Hispanics have brought to our community. They are a blessing.
Else have a comment on agenda items only? Sure, come on up, Dan.
All right, so to no one's surprise, I'm here to talk about resolution,
Name and address.
yeah, Dan Reardon, 20 Irving Place. I'm here to talk about resolution NP 23140, sending a request to the planning board to explore a declaring an area of Red Bank, an area in need of redevelopment. So I've got a few objections. I said some of them last meeting, so I'll be repeating some, but my first is the only reason, or only two reasons to declare something a redevelopment area as opposed to a rehabilitation. And those are condemnation, you want to take somebody's property through eminent domain, or you want to give somebody a 30-year tax break. Those are the only two things that you gain by moving from a rehabilitation area to a redevelopment area. So if you don't intend, this is a non-condemnation area, so you can't be using eminent domain, but if you don't intend to give 30-year tax breaks, then I'd ask you to look at the designation of a rehabilitation area. I don't know, maybe a third of this area is already in an area in need of rehabilitation from 5 years ago. So you could just expand that easily. So I'd rather see rehabilitation than redevelopment. And the redevelopment area is in the law a blighted area. It's an area that's blighted. It's not an area where you could it's not about trying to give developers the right conditions to build something special. It's about trying to build something where no one will build. That's not the case with our train station. The developer who will benefit from this 30-year tax break just built a building that's inside this area in need of redevelopment. It's not in need of
any kind of special tax breaks or spot zoning. People want to build there. If we give them the chance, they will build there. They'll build as much as they can there. So I don't think we need to go through this sort of twisting of the redevelopment law for the convenience of a developer, for the benefit of a developer. And to be clear, the New Jersey Transit did say, if you want to be a transit village, you need to either have a redevelopment plan, for which you would need either a redevelopment area or a rehabilitation area. You need either a redevelopment plan or a zone. They don't want the overlay that we currently have. But you could simply take the overlay zone and make it the zone. That makes a lot of sense to me, rather than having the BR1 zone, the BR2 zone, the BR1 zone with the overlay, the BR2 zone with the overlay, and then a redevelopment area. I don't think we need that many areas in that small an area. Just say, this is the transit village zone. Build to these requirements. And those requirements are more generous than most of the rest of the town. Yeah, the only other thing I wanted to say is in support of what Mr. Boku said. I've been keeping track of what classes of property are paying taxes, what percentage of the tax burden in this town. And for residents, it's been around 60%. Starting in 2013, the lofts came online and another big apartment building came online. And we actually did see an increase in the share of taxes paid by apartments and a decrease in the share of taxes paid by other residential properties. That went away. Now we have gone back up and residents are now paying above the median for the 34 years that I've been tracking it. So building more apartments has not worked to lower tower tax bills. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you, Dan. Oh, I'm sorry, I saw your hand next.
Good evening. I'm Mike Zadlock, president of Red Bank PBA Local 39. I just have a statement to say, and we'll be out. As many of you recall, Red Bank PBA Executive Board spoke to this body on August 10, 2023. We alerted you of our multiple concerns involving Chief McConnell's actions, which we, PBA Local 39, find demeaning and counterproductive to this department. To the best of our knowledge, since that August meeting, there has been no visible action that we are aware of taken by this body or any other body in order to investigate the claims and concerns we made on behalf of Red Bank PBA Local 39. We have seen no progress with the Attorney General's Office investigation, and we are unaware of whether the Monmouth County Municipal Joint Insurance Fund has investigated this matter or been alerted to the potential future litigation. And we bring this to light because we, like the township, are seeking to avoid lawsuits as a result of questionable leadership. We would like to alert you of what we have seen since the August meeting. We recently filed a grievance concerning the lieutenant and captain promotional procedure. I point this out simply because I find this at best pathetically coincidental that I, the Red Bank PBA president, the most vocal opponent against Chief McConnell, was singled out as being ineligible for the promotion under the chief's claim that he never received a letter of intent or a cover letter. Despite the fact that I hand delivered the resume and cover letter to his office personally. The larger pool of applicants are the better chance for a sound promotion. Selective exclusion and exclusion based on retribution should never be tolerated. We are heartened by the soon arrival of the new city manager, and we request an immediate meeting with Mr. Gant to address the concerns this union has concerning the deficiencies of the police department, which we consider to be ineffective leadership at the top, and avoid any costly litigation. The ineffective leadership was the basis of PBA 39's vote of no confidence against Chief McConnell by a margin of 85% of our voted members having no confidence in him. 85% of our union has no confidence in him. Poor supervision leads to unwanted and unnecessary costs and compromise, and in the end, it's detrimental to the overall operation of our enterprise, especially at police department. We simply want to do our job and serve and protect the residents of this town in the most effective way we can. The union has filed the most amount of grievances during the tenure of Chief McConnell than any other police chief in Red Bank history that we are aware of. Simply want to return to a period of labor harmony between the police union, the administration, the mayor and council, so that all of us may better serve the people of Red Bank.
Thank you, officer. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And you had an opportunity to meet the new manager tonight, Mr. Gant, who's right there. If you have any questions for him in the hallway.
I saw Sue's hand first before Barbara. Go ahead, Sue.
Suzanne Viscomi, 25 Cedar Street. I want to speak about the NP 23-1-41. Obviously, it's a done deal. What my concern is, and I just want to highlight so we don't miss an opportunity, with this big development being constructed, A, first phase obviously being constructed, and B, when it comes to fruition, Mechanic Street is part of this, is a side street to this development. So I was wondering if anyone gave any thought or should be giving some thought about how it affects when we turn off Broad Street for the summer. And it's a dead end street for Mechanic, but with now that corner being built up, you're gonna have more traffic, you're gonna have more cars. You guys are gonna have more pedestrians, which is great if people walking, but my concern is, I hate to wait to the last minute to appease construction and more residents moving into town. I also have a question on the lead program. It could be under NP 23-138 or 128. I spoke about this in the past. On the west side, they did dig the holes and some grass got pulled out and that was fixed. But I've noticed patchwork where it was cement, but it's getting patchwork with the blacktop. So it really looks horrible because you have a nice sidewalk and you got a blacktop spot. One house on Bridge Avenue has a beautiful brick layout, a little pattern, and now you got this splotch of blacktop in it. So I was just wondering if that is ever going to be put back to the way they left it or the way they found it, so it doesn't look, it just looks bad. That's all. So I didn't know if you guys looked into any of that.
Mayor, I can address the one item if you'd like.
Go ahead, Dick.
Sorry, I know it's weird having me up here instead of over there. But anyway, the concrete will be restored. It's just that the contractor's waiting to all the test pits and all the replacements are done. And then we'll do a restoration of the concrete all at once. It's easier to mobilize a mason one time than it is to have them come in 10 times for different test pits in different areas.
Cool. Thank you.
Just very clear. I just wanted to make sure the public understands. I know Mr. Poco and Ms. Viscomi have mentioned resolutions 139 and 140, which are developers agreements. But this body is not approving development here tonight. There's no approval or denial of these buildings or development. All that was done at the zoning board. In the case of 120 Monmouth Street, it was done back in October of 2021. The development was approved by the zoning board. And with respect to the second one, which is the subject of 140, which is One Globe, that was done in January of 2023 by the zoning board. So Ms. Viscomi raised very good concerns about traffic and the items concerning the development, but those were already decided at the zoning board. So that's not being considered. These two developers agreements only are conditions of those previously granted approvals. And so for 120 Monmouth Street, the developer is required to contribute a substantial sum to improve the stormwater drainage during the borough's project on all of Monmouth Street. They have to contribute funds to that because of their development. So this council is only entering a new agreement to obtain money from these developers to contribute to the public infrastructure. In the latter instance, on One Globe, they are contributing to the water infrastructure. up to $50,000, depending on the board engineer's determination. So these two agreements are not approving or denying development or really determining anything of what it looks like or anything like that. This is simply this governing body as is its job to take care of the public infrastructure. Zoning board approves these developments. This body deals with the public infrastructure they have to connect to. They are extracting money from these developers for the public infrastructure. So that's what these developers agreements do. They don't give them any more rights to develop or do anything other than pay the borough money for adding the burden to the public infrastructure. So that's what we're accomplishing here tonight as a governing body. Although your points are well taken, and I know they are part of the public discourse here in general, but I just want to make sure that procedurally everyone knows what we're doing tonight.
Right, just to clarify, and I'm not speaking for Mr. Boku, but I've been at the zoning board meetings. I'm not here to contest it and say not to vote for it. I just want to highlight it because it seems sometimes, like when we talked about Broadwalk and getting things out, it was done. There was a debate last year because they wanted to push it out last minute. So I kind of want to just highlight an issue of food for thought. So next year, if there needs to be a change, it's already top of mind for you all before we rush, because it is good for some businesses. I'm not disputing that it is what it is. It's only going to pass. That's not my point of bringing anything up. My point was
I
just.
understand. I totally appreciate your perspective. I just wanted to make sure procedurally everyone in the audience knows what we're doing.
We're voting on infrastructure contributions.
Barbara, I think you were next.
Barbara Boas, 135 Branch Avenue. I had a little confusion in my head, so I'm going to ask Greg probably be the person to explain it. When I was listening to Dan before, he talked about the 30-year abatement. Now, my understanding is that that is an available thing. It is not an automatic thing, that the minute they apply and it becomes a redevelopment or development area, it doesn't automatically mean that any developer gets a 30-year abatement. They have to apply for it, and they could apply for 5 years, so they could apply for 30 years or 25 years or 20 years. Is my thinking screwed up, or is it just?
Maybe Dan can clarify. From what I understood from what Dan was saying was the only reason you would do this particular designation is if you were either doing condemnation or awarding you're saying even if we get it that way, we still don't have to award it 30 years. It could be.
That's my understanding, but Dan had always.
Yes, I think you are correct.
Good facts. I didn't know whether my facts were alternate facts.
Yes. I think it's safe to assume that a developer would be looking to get as many years from a pilot as they possibly could.
You do not have to give it to them, but if it's in the other category, they can only get they can get 5 or 7 or 5, just 5 years at maximum. Okay, I couldn't remember all those numbers. So then my brain is not totally gone. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Chris, and then Steve. Did you have your hand up too, Jimmy? I couldn't see you were behind Chris. I'll get you.
Chris Havens, 111 River Street. First thing I want to say is I think there's a remarkable increase in lighting of houses, the decoration for the holidays this year on the west side.
Yes, agreed.
I've been studying that. I too, like my neighbor, Mr. Polk, are concerned about affordable housing, and there are ways we can deal with that. It's very difficult. Transit village. In some ways, we're already a big transit village. So it makes sense to really focus on these opportunities as presented by the legislation, by potential grants, by the interest we'll have. I would also suggest to people that real estate developers and probably New Jersey Transit are studying this area already for these kinds of things. They're going on for a while. They're thinking about the dirt there, the parking lots, which are not, you can't really rehab a parking lot and you have great effect. So I think we should be studying them too. If all these other people are studying them. Transit Village, we should be looking at it too through this method. And last but not least, I think the Transit Village idea is a modern green concept around the country that people are talking about. And that's how we are in Red Bank, modern and green. Could be looking at it too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, if I could just add a comment to this conversation.
Sure.
I just want to make sure that, and I understand that when we have these conversations, that they're going to naturally go into the future and what this could mean going forward. But the resolution that we are voting on tonight, what it does is it is going to authorize the planning board to conduct a preliminary investigation of the area and to make recommendations back to this governing body. So I just want to make that clear, that that is what the vote is on from this council tonight. It's not on a specific development. It's not on going into these things. It's about following a process. It's about us authorizing for our planning board, which is a separate body, to go and investigate and say whether or not what we are looking at in this area is true or not. And that's also following our master plan, which is a document that, you know, had a lot of public input and a lot of people towards it. So I just wanted to make it clear on what it is we're actually talking about tonight, because I know it's a larger conversation, but all we will be voting on is authorizing that investigative work by the planning board. That is what this vote will be tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Jimmy and then Steve. Or you guys can work it out who wants to go first. Go ahead.
Thank you, Jim. Steve Hecht, 135 Branch Avenue. I want to focus for a moment on the shared services resolutions that are on the agenda. And I want to make sure I understand the net result of all of this. So I like to refer to NP20231214, which is an agreement between the borough and Tom Seaman. Am I reading this correctly when I look at this a 3-year contract? And I look at a certain amount of money that comes to the borough, and of that money, a certain amount will be paid to our CFO. Am I reading that correctly? Okay, so the net result after 3 years is about $41,000 that the borough will accrue with these 2 3-year contracts. And I think that's wonderful if we can provide a service to our neighbors and make some money. The question is, are we sure that we don't need a full-time CFO?
So-
Greg can.
Want to answer? I mean,
We're guaranteed.
Sure, that's more.
Hey, you want me to?
Yeah.
sure.
I can take that if you want. So the CFO is a salaried position, so he works the number of hours required to get the job done. So if he has extra work to do, since we're now taking responsibility for the CFO services for the other towns, and it's important to note it's only the CFO services. We're not running their finance department. They have a staff in their finance department. We're not taking over that responsibility. Our CFO will simply be the licensed, if you will, registered CFO for their town and do certain services for them that requires a CFO. But if that takes him an extra 10 hours a month to do that, then he has to work the extra 10 hours a month, hence the extra compensation. It's not, if he works 40 hours a week now, for example, for Red Bank, he won't be working 35 for Red Bank and 5 for the other towns. He would be required to work the extra amount that it takes to complete the task for those towns. And those towns, as you can see, are much smaller towns than ours, and his involvement in the day-to-day operations of their finance office would be extremely limited, and in many cases done remotely, not actually in their town. It's just not the type of work that requires his physical presence.
Is the maximum of 4 hours per month accurate?
Yeah, it is. I don't have the agreements in front of me, but yes, what I worked out with those towns and with our labor attorney, that's the accurate average. I mean, sure, 1 week, 1 month, it could be 5 months, 5 hours, and the next it could be 3. But yes, we expect that to be an accurate number.
Thank you.
All right, Jim, you've been patient.
Jimmy Dart, 48 West Sunset Avenue, Red Bank. The question I wanted to ask, this is the redevelopment, this is about up at the train station, right? The train station. The thing I want to know, they was talking about redevelopment and they talking about putting apartments there, right? On the last meeting, they were talking about building up, putting apartments right there.
I think they're talking about, they want to put a whole bunch of things there, but
Okay,
that will include apartments.
okay, but my thing is, for long years ago, they might don't remember this. Up there in Woodbridge, they built some apartments up there, right by our power lines. And I didn't keep the article, I wish I did. And it was talking about because the radiation coming from the power lines and all that, it was a danger. And that's why I always said, you know, when you come in, nobody's a doctor, lawyer, or engineer, or electronic person, or chemist, to really see how safe it is to live enclosed by power lines like this. Is it a health hazard? And from what I'm gathering, all the years I know, this is all the way I'm saying, why would they do to keep? This is why I'm saying that, you know, sometimes all the people that keep talking about that, they should have them all here. And they said, oh, you know, when you get off the train, you can say, look at Red Bank. You don't need that to say, look at Red Bank. You've been born and raised here or you've been living here for 30, 40, 50, 60. Some people have been here 100 years. My thing is, why do they want to keep it over, you know, overdeveloped? It's already like you know, like you got two arms wrapped around you. You can't really look at something and then you have to look straight up. And they say they're gonna make money, but my thing is, I always say the developer is gonna get the tax break, but the little person is gonna get pushed outside the Parkway Turnpike out of New Jersey. Because you know, I see a lot of my friends moved out and some of them still leaving. And I always say, why do you have to keep, you got so many apartment buildings around here now, why do you need more? And you got enough right here. And I always said, why give tax breaks to the wealthy? And you got the person that you giving something to them, but the little person is paying for their stuff. And that's why I said sometimes they should have them here where you can put the questions right to their face. And the redevelopment train station, there's nothing wrong with the train station. It's good and sound. And they're talking about, you leave your car home? To me, cars been around for some people more than some people's lifetime. To me, it's already enough here. And you should have people here to ask the concrete question. That's like, I know you can't answer for the zoning board. This is why I said somebody said the zoning board should be right here.
We're just not at that phase yet. I mean,
Yeah, but you know, there's not to cut you off from that point. I'm just thinking about this because every time you look around, you pick up the newspaper, you see this in the newspaper. You know, you see so much going on at one time. And I said, I was just speaking for myself. I said, you know what? Go ahead and ask these questions now. Don't wait till it get to the dead end. And then you can't answer that. Then you turn around, you're gonna sit across the street somewhere trying to signal. So could I come in and ask you one more question that I should have asked 6 months ago, a year ago? And to me, and just like you say, tax breaks. And I understand Lloyd's, the attorney said they get 5 or 30. To me, they're already making the money building the stuff. They're gonna, they're gonna do it, they're gonna make the money. But my thing is, you got to think about the little person too. And they keep saying people are not going. But if you stand out and look out sometime and hear from word of mouth, people are slowly, they migrated, came in here, and now some of them slowly got the wagon, whatever, and they're going out. They said because it's coming too much, it's too small. This is not New York. Like I said, this is not San Francisco. This is not Chicago. The same way, if you talk, it's all over the country, the same thing here from other people. And I always said, you know, this too small. Give people some breathing room. Not, they gotta be sitting there and huddled up together, you know, you got to squeeze in to go somewhere. And it's this, and this is why I'm just asking these questions. I said, I'm not gonna wait till next year. I said, you better go ahead and do it now while it's fresh on your mind. And I understand, I don't want to pour all the water on top of y'all at one time, but I figured to get these questions out now, maybe somebody can come in here, because I understand some, but some I understand, but the tax break, 5 years, 30 years, and they making the money when they all develop 5 years and 30 years, and look at the money they making off of it. Hey, to each his own, but I'm just saying it's too small, but keep the breathing room where you have something to breathe. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. I think I saw Alan back, his hand up next.
Alan Hill, 64 McLaren Street. It wasn't a surprise this evening, but once again, despite the borough saying that minutes would be available for this meeting, unless they've been published on the internet in the last hour or so, they are still not available. And I would just like to
Or said they were posted in the packet when the packet was posted online.
they're not, the minutes aren't in there. Well,
yeah.
I'm going to go back and check that in a minute. The copy, certainly when they were first published, the minutes were not in there. Okay, anyway, talking about like accountability, it was kind of disappointing to hear the president of the PBA, PDA, whichever one it is, speak just now, in that there was no response from this committee, from this council. I'm very concerned that with the election of this council, there was a big change to police accountability in this town. Previous to this, there was at least a degree of civilian oversight of the police department. And that was done through, I think it might have been a public safety committee consisting of the mayor, a nominee from the council, and I'm not certain if it was the borough administrator or the chief, because that's been a bit sort of hazy for the last couple of years. But with the election of this council, the oversight has now changed solely to that of the borough administrator. And I'd like to know how that is going to increase transparency from oversight of the police department, and, you know, effectively put virtually every, I don't know, policy, every matter of the police just in one person's hands, and with no clear way of actually bringing it before the people of Red Bank. Because remember, policing is not by enforcement, is by consent. And the people, the community, have to know what we're consenting to. That's my first point.
Okay, thank you. And just to be clear, what Officer Zadlock said was no action was taken by the council, but I had responded to him in writing on the advice of our attorney. There's really not much we can do right now. There's an AG investigation going on, and Darren the chief literally can't retire until that investigation is concluded. He was supposed to retire back in August, and is unable to because of the investigation that was instituted by the PBA. So it's a little bit of an odd situation here. Darren would have been retired for several months already if that investigation had not been instituted. So there's really nothing we can do until that investigation is concluded.
Yeah, I understand that. I raised that as an example, I mean, yeah, I know how that's going. But I raised that as an example of really quite serious matters arising. And yet there's not even a report that, so far as I know, not even a discussion amongst yourselves about matters like that. So once again, I go back to the fact.
What you have to understand is the Attorney General is in charge of it, so we're not allowed to investigate ourselves here.
I understand that again.
All these people here did the right thing and passed it up the chain to someone who's independent, who looks into it on their own, and it's completely out of our control here.
Yeah, like I say, I'm not really worried about that. What I am worried about is that there is at some time in the year or once a month, a report from the police department. And it's not just to knock the police department. There's a lot of things I'd like to know about protocols and training and stuff like that, that I think we're entitled to know and have a view on, or at least express a view to you. It's just not possible, is it, at the moment? Because you've never produced a report, and now the report is going to stop at the BA. And I'm just asking that the BA, how is the BA going to report to the community matters of the police department? I'm not asking for confidential matters. I'm not asking how you're going to solve a crime, or, you know, I'm not even going to ask if you monitor Ring doorbells. I'm not even going to do that. But there has to be a time when the community can ask, like I say, by consent. But we don't know. If we don't know what we're consenting to, it's a bit awkward, isn't it?
We'll certainly have that opportunity to ask the new manager that. He starts part-time on Monday and full-time on the 1st, so he will address that.
I'm sure he's in the room. I know he'll listen to this. Resolution 133 concerning the environmental protection park developing enabling resolution. I guess this is the Count Basie. I just wondered why did the borough prioritize Count Basie against other parks that were in need of refurbishment and rebuilding, for example, the Marine Park?
I don't think it was prioritizing one or the other. Marine Park, we're still proceeding apace with, and that will, we already have money laid aside, for example, for the parking as soon as that gets approved. We also just did East Side Park, you know, the Green Acres grant that we had applied for. We applied last year for both Count Basie and East Side Park, and it was awarded to East Side Park, and that's why we just redid the tennis courts and pickleball courts there and the basketball court. So I think we can do them simultaneously.
Speaking of Green Acres, and I don't expect an answer to this, but I don't understand this council's hostility towards putting the waterfront at the senior centre on the Green Acres programme. I don't want to answer now, but it makes some people somewhat cynical. The last one I want to raise at the moment is number 140. That is about the transit village, and I think Mr. Reardon has raised a lot of issues with it, and I'm glad to hear the commitment from at least one member of the council that nothing's been decided yet. But what I am worried about is that you're putting a lot of onus on the planning committee to investigate and come up with proposals. And I just want to know, is the planning committee, is it resourced, or does it have the expertise to actually do this? Or are they going to come back and ask for a budget? I don't know. Or are they going to go out and ask for, goodness knows, another expert from outside to guide them? So that's what I'd like to know. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And that's a longer, I believe, and I'm not familiar with all of them, but there are many, many steps that we have to go through before we would even be getting a transit village designation. So I mean, certainly Darren, I guess. Darren, what's the step after, let's assume for a second, the planning board,
Investigates, finds that this isn't, determines.
Right. I
Area,
think their investigations say this is a feasible,
area need a redevelopment.
area in need of redevelopment. What's the next step? Do you know?
David might know.
Greg may be better than me at this, but I believe the council will then appoint a firm to do the study, the actual study. Right, Greg?
So this is a study to determine whether the blocks and lots listed meet the criteria within the redevelopment law. And then if they do, the council can adopt an ordinance designating that area in need of redevelopment. But the preliminary step is to determine whether they fit the statute, and that's performed by the planning board. More specifically, as Darren alluded to, a professional planner who studies that area as to the age of the infrastructure, the age of the housing stock, what's commonly referred to as blight, as Mr. Reardon was mentioning, and some other factors that are involved there. But they escape me off the top of my head right now from the statute, but essentially that's to see if the statutory criteria fit the area. So before the council takes the next step of adopting an ordinance designating that area as in need of redevelopment, you have to perform that study. So that's the procedural preliminary step.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
No, I don't have to be.
Are we gonna find out what all those shirts?
Bigger one?
Are we gonna find out what all those shirts say?
Certainly
All
are.
right.
Is this, okay.
Yeah, there we go. There you go.
So, good evening. My name is Will Mumford. I, truth be told, currently reside at 54 Crestview Drive in Middletown, just across the bridge. However, for several years prior, I lived at 226 Bridge Avenue near the old YMCA. And my brother, sister, mother, and grandmother, love of my life, still call Red Bank home. And I wanted to speak today in regards to, I think it was MP 23142, with regards to mandated ratios for nurses.
Excuse me, can you state your name once again for the record, the clerk, please?
My first name is Will, and my last name is Mumford, like Mumford and Sons,
Okay.
except without the musical talent or fortune.
I want to hear you so bad.
What?
Speak up. I want to hear you.
Is this better?
Yes, let's go.
So the more that life goes on, the more you appreciate the reality that people experience life differently. When I walk into a hospital, for example, I do not need a translator as a native speaker of English. I do not fear the cost of care, as until several months ago, I enjoyed health insurance and job security. Nor do either white coat syndrome or a historical legacy of mistreatment by the medical community deter me from active participation in my own care. This is not the case for everyone. From a nurse's perspective, Red Bank has done and continues to do an incredible job of mitigating the barriers to access to care for its residents, linguistic, financial, and otherwise. The Parker Clinic, where I used to volunteer as an interpreter, the Visiting Nurses Association, and countless other organizations offer culturally sensitive care to right the scales and ensure a more level playing field for residents in need of medical intervention. The issue becomes that despite these laudable efforts, acuity of sufficient severity occasionally precludes the possibility of local treatment. At University Hospital New Brunswick, where I work, a level 1 trauma and comprehensive stroke center, we regularly receive patients in need of more intensive care from Red Bank and neighboring towns. The sickest of your sick, as a colleague once put it. And who addresses the barriers to care once these patients come through our doors? We do. Not all of us, but the good ones do. And I work with a lot of good ones. Nurses who embrace their ultimate responsibility as the discernment and fulfillment of the human needs unique to each patient. This is critical to grasp in terms of understanding the consequences that a lack of enforceable staffing ratios has, not merely in terms of medical outcomes, but on the dignity that patients enjoy in the hour of their greatest need. To illustrate this point, I would like to introduce you to a patient of mine for whom I cared several months ago. We will call her Marisol. Marisol was a Latina woman in her mid-40s who initially came to the hospital to begin treatment for a long-standing HIV infection, of which she had been entirely unaware. Unfortunately, the severity of her unchecked infection induced an immune reaction to the medication administered, resulting in irreversible brain damage of the sort that entails progressive dysfunction of the entire nervous system. Imagine for a moment being told of this complication through a translator and that you have 1 or 2 months to live. Each day that passes brings noticeable cognitive and motor decline as you gradually lose the ability to walk, to control your bowels or bladder, to even speak clearly and express your thoughts. You have not told your family or friends of your diagnosis for fear of abandonment or worse. You are utterly alone. Now imagine that you are her nurse and have 5 other acutely ill patients to care for. It is borderline impossible to meet the full medical need of patients on our floor, neuro floor, with more than what an enormous body of research has demonstrated to be the safe number of patients per nurse based on acuity. The human needs, forget it. How can you comfort someone, build trust, show compassion if you are always running just around the corner? Thankfully for Marisol, a nephew in whom she had confided agreed to bring her to his home to exchange her hospital bed for his own and allow her to die, not in the interval between harried nursing rounds and physician consultations, but enveloped in love with her human needs, the needs that we failed to meet fulfilled. Marisol was ultimately the casualty of a healthcare system that actively chooses to ignore scientific evidence and the testimony of its own nurses by operating on meaningless, non-enforceable guidelines and placing profits over patients. In closing, as you consider this resolution, MP20231214, I ask you to vote your conscience with all of your neighbors in mind. And if anyone present feels as though ours is a Sisyphean effort, well-intended but ultimately futile in the context of a healthcare industry so set against change, I would respectfully counter with a lesson I learned from my father when I was young, that with persistence and effort, even marble softens to the right touch. Thank you.
Thank you for being here on behalf of my wife, who,
Mayor, can I make a statement?
yeah,
Thank you. I've been a nurse since 1976, and staffing has always been an issue. I also taught health policy. I have a doctorate in nursing. I've taught health policy. It's a very broken system. You are very right. Thank you for coming. Thank you for standing up. Thank you for being here. And everything you said is so true. Thank you.
yeah, and on behalf of my wife, who's a postpartum nurse, yeah, thank you. And thank you all for being here. You're either coming off of or heading on to your next 12 to 15-hour shift. So we really appreciate you taking the time to be here. And I'm just glad I couldn't read the blue shirts. I'm just glad I'm not in trouble.
Sorry.
All right.
We're still on strike since August 4th. So we are coming from the picket line from 7 a.m.
Oh, wow.
This morning, and we're still standing.
Thank you again.
So just so I can say that, see a picket, you don't cross a picket. I'm with you. I wouldn't cross it if I saw it, and I encourage anyone who comes across a picket not to cross it. Of course, emergency services, etc. But support to you and let us know. You know, my email's online. However I can, I'm with you.
I had the honor of meeting some of you when I attended Senator Sanders' field hearing. So full solidarity. I just wanted to say, I know that nurses, first responders, people who have to see that real hurt, they never want to have to share those things with the public because they want to carry it with them and they want people to live their everyday lives, and they know how heavy it is to put those things on people. So when I was hearing the testimony that day about having to choose between which patient lives or dies because the burden is so big on one person, and the constant rephrase of we're not even asking for more money for ourselves, we're just asking for safe staffing. You know, it's important to pass I just ran back here, sorry. It's important to pass resolutions like this. I believe we're going to be, after tonight, the 11th town or 12th municipality in the state to pass this. And it does show the importance of bringing things at the local level and bringing them up. So I truly hope the governor hears us. I hope he speaks out on this issue. I hope that you are given all the love and the support and the solidarity that all of you deserve. And we want you to know that we are forever indebted to you for your dedication to this, for not getting your pay, for staying on strike, just for the unbelievable strength that all of you have shown, because what you're doing is monumental and it's going to work. We all know it's going to work. It's going to work, and it's going to work because of your dedication to the people. And I always say, we believe in life and the people, and life and the people have never let us down. So I know that sometimes people say at the local level, oh, resolutions, you know, they don't have teeth, they're just symbolic, but I think we all know up here, you know, she knows. I think, you know, I think we all know up here that how important this is. And any call to action, like Councilman Cassidy said, or any of us, you know, let us know, we're with you all the way. So in solidarity, and, you know, let's hope that you get to go into the new year with new terms. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Public comments for agenda items only. Yes.
Good evening, members of council, mayor. My name is John Shu, HSU, 219 West Shirley Avenue, Edison, New Jersey. It's always nice to be in Red Bank. Come here for many concerts, Basic Theater. So really love this town. But yeah, I'm here with the nurses. Just want to give a little background on what's needed. And you know, we've been talking about the resolution. We really do need the state legislatures to support the nurses. And we do have that currently with Vin Galpel, the state senator. He is a co-sponsor of this bill that mandates state staffing. So the nurses are on strike staffing, you know, not for pay. You know, that's very important that we reiterate that. This is for safety of the patients, for working conditions, to make sure that young nurses who join the profession, they stay, rather than not being burned out. And that's what happens. So if there's any talk of a nursing shortage, that's not the case. It's because the work is just way too hard, way too demanding. It's also important to know that the hospitals are, you know, they are doing very well financially. It's not a financial situation. It's a weird thing why the staffing levels are not where they should be, but it's not because of the hospitals going out of business or anything like that. There's many studies concerning that. California passed this safe staffing bill, and there are 20 years of studies that show that that's not the case. But we do need to support, and we want to come here in the public forum to let the residents of Red Bank know that we need the support of the legislatures. Vin Galpel is one of 12 state senators currently as a co-sponsor of this bill, S304. But we do need the Assemblywoman-elect Donlin and Peter Paul to support this bill as well, to sign on to A4536. Actually, these numbers will change in the new year, but we do need their support. We do need the legislatures to understand that the public is behind the nurses, that they're behind the bill, and that it would be good for their constituents to get behind the bill and to be co-sponsors as well. So I just want to give that background for folks, for people listening in. Please, if you want to support the nurses, one great way is to call your legislatures in the new year and ask them to sign on and be co-sponsors and be supporters. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comments for agenda items? Anyone online, Laura? I don't think so. No. Okay, can I have a motion to close the public comment on agenda items?
So moved.
I'll have a second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, approval of the minutes. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes from 8/24/2023?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I have a motion to approve the minutes from 10/26/23?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I have a motion to approve the minutes from 11/9/23.
So moved.
Have a second?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
I have a motion to approve the minutes from 11/9/23's executive session.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I have a motion to approve the minutes from 11/17/23 special meeting.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And can I have a motion to approve the exec session minutes from 11/17/23?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, hearing and adoption for NP 2023-19, amending and supplementing chapter 64 Fire Department. Can I have a motion to open the floor for public hearing on this ordinance only?
So moved.
I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone have any comments on this ordinance? I have a motion to close the public hearing on this ordinance only.
Make such a motion.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Have a motion to adopt ordinance NP 2023-19.
I make a
Oh, yeah, you go.
I make a motion, we move to adopt.
I'm gonna second that.
Can we do a roll call?
Councilmember Bonatoc, Councilmember Cassidy.
Yes.
Councilmember Facy Blackwood.
Yes.
Councilmember Forrest.
Yes.
Councilmember Janone.
Yes.
Councilmember Trigiano.
Yes.
Mayor Portman.
Yes.
Passes, sir.
Hearing and adoption of NP 2023-20, amending and supplementing chapter 680-3 parking. I have a motion to open the floor for public hearing on this ordinance only.
I make such a motion.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone? I have a motion to close the public hearing on this ordinance.
So moved.
I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can I have a motion to adopt ordinance NP 2023-20?
I make such a motion.
I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bonatakis is excused. Councilmember Cassidy.
Yes.
Councilmember Facy Blackwood.
Yes.
Councilmember Forrest.
Yes.
Councilmember Janone.
Yes.
Councilmember Trigiano.
Yes.
Mayor Portman.
Yes.
Passes, sir.
Thank you. Hearing and adoption of NP 2023-21, ordinance amending chapter 490, planning and development regulations to require the provision and or posting of disconnecting means for electric vehicle charging stations. I have a motion to open the floor for public hearing on this ordinance only.
So moved.
I have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public? I have a motion to close the public hearing on this ordinance.
So moved.
I have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adopt. Can I have a motion to adopt the ordinance?
So moved.
NP 2023-21.
Second.
All right, roll call, please.
Councilmember Bonatakis is excused. Councilmember Cassidy.
Yes.
Councilmember Facy Blackwood.
Yes.
Councilmember Forrest.
Yes.
Councilmember Janone.
Yes.
Councilmember Trigiano.
Yes.
Mayor Portman.
Yes,
Ordinance passes.
thank you. Do we have to pull any of these resolutions out or can we adopt them on the consent agenda?
We looked at the bill list.
What's that?
First one and the last one, I believe should be voted separately.
Okay,
I would also like just for nice purposes to pull the resolution.
okay, so let's do individual resolutions first. Can I have a motion to approve resolution NP 23-123, the bill list?
So moved.
I have a second.
Second.
Roll call, please, Laura.
Councilmember Bonatakis is excused. Councilmember Cassidy.
Yes.
Councilmember Facy Blackwood.
Yes.
Councilmember Forrest.
Yes.
Councilmember Janone.
Yes.
Councilmember Trigiano.
Yes.
Mayor Portman.
Yes.
Resolution passes, sir.
Where did it go? Thank you. Can I get an approval of resolution NP 23 what'd you say, which one? 133, there we go, thank you. No, I'm sorry, it's not that one.
42.
Thank you. 142, in support of mandate minimum nurse staffing in hospitals.
Sure.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bonatakis is excused. Councilmember Cassidy.
Yes.
Councilmember Facy Blackwood.
Yes.
Councilmember Forrest.
Yes.
Councilmember Janone.
Yes.
Councilmember Trigiano.
Absolutely, yes.
Mayor Portman.
Yes.
Resolution passes.
And can we get a motion to approve resolution NP 23-143, the CFO services remuneration agreement?
So moved.
I get a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bonatakis is excused. Councilmember Cassidy.
Yes.
Councilmember Facy Blackwood.
Yes.
Councilmember Forrest.
Yes.
Councilmember Janone.
Yes.
Councilmember Trigiano.
Yes.
Mayor Portman.
Yes,
Resolution passes, sir.
thank you. And can we Can I have a motion to approve resolutions NP 23-124 through NP 23-141?
I'll make such a motion.
Can I have a second?
Second.
I want to make a comment though, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
This includes, of course, what we were talking about today, about the,
Put your mic on.
this includes the transit village. Right. So, I just want to make a comment on that after listening to the comments tonight, and also we had a hearing on this, I don't know, a month ago. My understanding, I was listening to Dan, I was listening to Jimmy, and Mr. Boku. I'm inclined to say yes to this and vote yes. I believe in transit villages. I've been an environmentalist, and, you know, it's good thinking that we think this way. It's in the master plan. Now, with that said, there's a lot of issues. I mentioned some in the last meeting. I'm not going to repeat all of them. Yeah, particularly I have concerns around New Jersey Transit. But you know, it's not an area that I've ever been a fan of. I love the train station. My father drew a marvelous picture that we have hanging in our house of the train station when he was a boy. And that's going to be saying the same way it is. Now, we don't know what the project is. You know, we say things here, but we are just authorizing the planning board to look and see if, you know, this whole transit village thing is really doable. And if we need to declare, you know, area in need of redevelopment. Now, I asked that same question, and I was told that, no, you know, we can. And that, you know, if we have any tax abatements, it would be a negotiation tool, blah, blah, blah. You know, we'll see when we get down. And I'm very reluctant to vote for that sort of thing. And I assure you that I certainly am never going to vote for anything up here that would in any way hurt our schools. It just will not happen. And I don't think anyone on the council, but I'm not speaking for them, would either. So, I mean, we have a council member with a child in the school district. It's not going to happen.
He was here.
So, and he is here? Is he still here?
No, he got to leave.
You know, so I know there's a little fear mongering about that sort of thing happening, but that's not going to happen. Okay, so we hear a lot about, I mean, Jimmy particularly talked about, you know, what was it? I wrote it down. You know, thinking about the people, you know, and not doing anything is also an action. You know, I Street is now overcrowded because housing is so desperately expensive. There's nowhere to park, there's nowhere to live. I have neighbors that have housing insecurity without going into details. I have friends, some of whom I see on a weekly basis where I go to eat, which I'm not going to mention, who live in some of this, oh, it's only 20%. You know, if 80% of the housing is for the rich people and the $4,000 a month. Well, you know, that 20%, if you live there, is life and death. You know, not having a kitchen table means you don't have those kitchen table conversations that I take for granted in my nice house. And in fact, many of the other people who complain on Facebook and here do not face housing insecurity. So it is a big deal that we provide affordable housing for my children, your children, and anybody else who doesn't happen to be making $150,000 a year or whatever it is. It costs to pay $4,000 a month rent in one of these luxury companies. So that 20% matters. And I do not see proposals from very many nonprofits for building affordable housing in Red Bank. I think I've heard of one since I've been a council member, and it's a very modest project. So, you know, if we do something nice, as my wife put it at the last meeting, that brings the town together there, maybe with improving transit, maybe with some bike walk paths, I'm certainly open to the idea of looking at that. And if it includes some affordable housing, well, I think that's friggin' great. You know, some of the businesses in town are now having trouble getting people to work there because they can't afford to live here. They can't afford to live in a town. This, by the way, this town used to be thriving. If you go to those Red Bank Historic Society photos, we were just talking about it with a friend of mine. This is a busy commerce town. I don't necessarily want it to be all that busy. And, you know, I hear from my neighbors, and maybe I won't get reelected in 2 years, and that's okay, because I want to vote my conscience at all times. I know development is not popular politically, and I'm sure my opponents will use it against me, that I'm open-minded to building affordable housing and other things to improve life here in Red Bank. You know, how often do we all as voters, and I'm voting up here, have to make imperfect decisions? I mean, would I like a nice nonprofit to come here and say, I'm gonna build 200 units of housing somewhere in a parking lot near the train station? I would love that. But I don't see that, and I'm not qualified to do a project like that. Millions of dollars would have to be invested. I'm thinking to myself, well, maybe as a council, should I buy property and create a development agency? Well, we know how popular the redevelopment agency was up here. And I certainly am in no position to risk the very limited funds of this very small town that may not be able to fix its own bleachers, to buy property, risk taxpayer money, and build 200 units of affordable housing. I mean, I would love it if some nonprofit comes in and does it, and I would vote yes for that. But now, traffic. We've heard a lot about traffic, and I've been struggling in traffic just this week. You know, we live in a crossroads. I don't know what the percentage is, but most of the traffic on Shrewsbury Avenue is actually not Red Bank traffic. I'm driving to Shrewsbury Avenue and I'm stuck in traffic going by what's it, Uncle Giuseppe's and ShopRite, and it's not moving. So I do know that this development will cause some amount of traffic, but you know, it's interesting. I walked by the rail today, coming here tonight, and I'm going home, and I walked by many of those other projects. There's actually not that much traffic coming out of those garages. In fact, I see more walkers and bikers and scooters and whatever else, skateboarders coming out of there than actually I see cars. The biggest impacts really are when somebody's moving in and out. I see a lot more traffic at the Armory, you know, for the ice skating. Seriously. Now, I don't know whether, I'm not a lawyer, I can't tell you if it's a blighted area or not, but I don't think a parking lot is really benefiting us at all, and they're friggin' damn hot in the summer. And as I said to Dan at the last meeting, I actually think our DPW probably does qualify in the classic sense of blighted. So I'm going to vote yes on this. I have struggled with it. I will share, and I've said that, you know, I like Cedar Crossing. I like our public housing, but I don't see anybody, I don't see the federal government coming up with money. I don't see the state coming up with any big things. So not doing anything means the market will continue to destroy affordable housing in Red Bank. That's what's happening now. If I do nothing, if we do nothing, we'll have less affordable housing, because you don't see people like myself or anybody else who owns a house for that's worth $500,000 or much more. They're not going to say, well, I don't see that. You're scratching that my kitchen table. Oh, well, Amy, let's just sell a house for 200,000. You know what probably happens? Somebody buy my house and then sell it and, you know, and flip it. I mean, that's not happening. So if market forces are going to be the only way we fix the housing crisis in Red Bank and everywhere else, we're not going to fix the housing crisis in Red Bank or anywhere else. Anyway, that's my little comment, Mayor, on this.
Thank you, Ben. I think we already.
Was that long enough?
It was great.
You served the tea, Councilman. And you served.
I think we already had a second to vote, didn't we? Yeah, so then can I have a roll call on these?
Councilmember Bonatakis is excused. Councilmember Cassidy.
Yes.
Councilmember Facey Blackwood.
Yes.
Councilmember Forrest.
Yes.
Councilmember Janone.
Yes.
Councilmember Trigiano.
Yes.
Mayor Portman.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to open the floor for public question and comment?
On anything you desire.
Yes.
Yes.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public, the floor is yours.
Jamie, you got it.
Go ahead, yeah.
I have to come back over this because
That's good. That's how we get to it, Jamie.
Get too old. I'm getting too old because
Just say your name and address. You know the drill.
dark 48 West Sunset at Reading, New Jersey. Well, I'm gonna say it like this, to each his own. Well, if you're gonna give somebody something, give it something where it's nice, not by something power lines and not by closed in. If you're gonna give something, put them, it's so many biggest New Jersey, all these towns got a lot of empty land. And it's a lot of things there. If you work with other towns, other mayors, senators and congressmen, it can come up with something. I understand it's homelessness and all that, but if agency to come out there should, you know, get them to come out and help people. Because, you know, you said
is like the young lady, well, started, whatever her name was, talking about, oh, you leave your car at home and all this. Look, car's been around before her lifetime, my lifetime. I don't want to speak for her, but my thing is, your building is too congested. You understand you feel for people, but you gotta understand feel for people too are leaving. And nobody wants to say that. And you talk to individuals that's leaving Red Bank too. People leaving this New Jersey too. If you really just talk to people, you kid all the time, people say, I say, just talk sometime to people. There's a lot of people moving out of New Jersey because the taxes, and sometimes they say it's so crunch. You know, you got to run down, you said, the traffic is terrible. You gotta sit there, you might well put your car on remote control and let it drive itself inch by inch. But my thing is, the train station, my opinion, is a bad spot. If you hear from where you live at, all times now, the train is, you hit a horn on, ain't nothing I can do about that.
Okay.
My thing is give somebody something that's nice and candid. If you're gonna build something, give them something that's nice and strong, not 0.5%, 1%. If you're gonna do building something, give it 100%. Because you want something that says mine. It's not something, next thing you know, something's falling apart. And you can't, I'm not to each his own, like I said, but my thing is give somebody something, a nice area, wherever they might want to go. You say you want to keep them here, but my thing is, and one question I was going to say, you said the zoning board has to check this out. And I can't, I'm not the zoning board. My thing is anybody on the zoning board, an engineer, a contractor, a chemist? And you said they got to go and investigate this. But my thing is, I can't ask these people back here. I know they nurses, they heard about this radon or whatever you call the thing, give off, you know, electricity thing is bad. I ain't gonna tell you how I found it. I found this out years ago and gives off radiation. So much is something that you can't see. And you really had to really bring these people in and let people talk to them. It's sad to see that you hit all the time. I said, this is only so many miles, like a shoebox. And I know tax breaks, to me, I'm gonna say it again, it shouldn't be given to the wealthy. To me, you got these nurses and doctors. My thing is you just give them something. I understand 13, 14, 15 hours and stand up on your feet and they don't get no raise, health hazard, and they have to endure a lot of stuff. Every hospital or something, give these to the ones on the front line. But my thing is, if you're gonna build something, don't put it by where they're gonna wake up 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. Give them somewhere, and you got kids, where the kids gonna play? Go do like we did, go out there right on the railroad tracks and do every devilish thing you can do. Everybody been a kid once in their lifetime. So I'm just gonna close this out. Give somebody something nice, not half or not when so a wind or a storm can come by and blow it down. And I'm not none of the above, but when you've been through it or you've been here long enough and you read it in the papers, then it's all over. So I hope y'all would take this in consideration because zoning board, I don't know about them. And I've just been to a couple meetings, but my thing is put it somewhere where if you got kids, I don't care if you don't have to have kids, you can go out and enjoy it. It's only so small and tight. You have a livable space, but still make it healthy and safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy. Yes.
Alan Hill, 64 McLaren Street. I'd like to remind Ben, Mr. Forrest, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'd like to remind the council that because you ask a question does not mean you're necessarily against the item or against the whole concept. Just because you ask a question based on the town and the boroughs and developers' interpretation of high density building is, doesn't mean you're against high density building. Anybody who knows anything about town planning knows that high density building is essential in terms of the environment, the community, in terms of equality, etc. We know that. Just because we say, look what you've done so far, it's rubbish, doesn't mean we're not for it. There's a lot of people, as I say, who do know what those things are. So I'm not going to take it from Ben saying, you know, giving me a bit of a lecture, not mean it necessarily. A lot of us do know what we're talking about, okay? And so I just like to make that, and that applies to almost every time I come up here. Because I ask a question, doesn't mean I'm against something. And just because somebody on Ben's Facebook page or in Red Bank chatter says, well, you know, this transit village, but you know, it's got issues, doesn't mean that they're just against any form of progress. Some of us really want to see that. We're going down a road that we've gone down before, which led to a total lack of progress. That's what I got from Ben's contribution. However, I have got two other questions. One is the Historical Preservation Commission. What's happening about the Historical Preservation Commission, please? Has it been reinstated? Are people invited to be on it? Are you going to ask for nominations for people to be on it? What's happening?
Unfortunately, Christina Bonatakis has been heading that and is not here tonight. She'd be best qualified, but I do know that at this point, our plan is to be repopulating or, you know, naming the HPC board during the reorg on January 1st, so.
And how's that process? Are you taking nominations? Are you going to use your last list? What are you going to do?
No, I think we have between existing members and other people who had expressed interest and in the last round that we have enough candidates, I believe.
Thank you. Let's go back to last October, I think it was, Porch Fest. There was a great opportunity there, a great reaction, actually, I think probably by Environmental Commission to provide bike paths around the town, etc. More or less successful in many respects. After that event, there was actually a questionnaire put on the borough website, I think it was, and quite an extensive one. I just wondered, one, how many people applied, and two, actually at the end of the questionnaire, it asked if people would be interested in sitting on a group devoted to bike and pedestrian matters. I wondered what had become of that.
Well, that should get, go ahead.
The survey went out and it was handled by Easy Ride. And they're working to put together the report with the results of the questionnaires and the steps going further. So I haven't received the full report yet, but I'm pretty sure it's coming soon.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
Suzanne, it's going to be 25 Cedar Street. I don't really say this publicly at all, but I think this is kind of my tap on what Mr. Hill said. Why I ask questions as a person who became a citizen. I think that it's the public's responsibility to ask questions. That's what I've been doing for over a decade, because we've learned not everyone's correct. Not all of you guys up there have the right answers, and not all of us have the right answers, but asking questions is a great way to start a conversation, to bring up ideas, and to hold people accountable. So I'm glad we all don't agree, actually. With that being said, my questions. Okay, where should I start? Is it okay to drive on the wrong side of the road?
No.
Okay, with that being said, here's a picture of the front of this, on the side of the building, and there's a car parked on the wrong side of the road, in the wrong direction on the wrong side of the road. And the excuse was, well, they wanted to charge their car. Doing more investigation, you could say. Can I finish, please? The line has enough slack So there's no reason, here's a nice big truck and there's still a bunch of slack and you can still charge your car. So I just get curious why, I think I passed this car on the way to an event at the library and then on the way home. And the car parked on the wrong side of the road, which I'll eventually drive on the wrong side of the road. Will be driving, didn't get a ticket. And here's another car and then enough slack to charge. So actually I give the people who put the charging station in, the option for people who have charging on different side of the cars, the ability to do that. So there's really no reason for a car to drive on the wrong side of the road on Monmouth Street. Number one. Number two, I would just try to see if you guys had an update on the unhitched trailers. I have about 3 trailers on, I think it's Willow Street, that's been parked there before you guys passed. Yeah, different change in was it a resolution or an ordinance? There's a trailer that's been there for weeks. I'm assuming if they got a ticket or something, they would move it. I wish, so an update on that. Also, I wish Mr. Boynton was here. He brought it up, I brought it up, I think 1 or 2 of the residents from the west side brought it up. You know, we talk about safe streets and pedestrians and how great it is that we all are using sidewalks. Once again, the business by the Pocket Park by Coffee Crown, cars parked on the sidewalk again. That's not adding to safe streets. And I'm assuming, hopefully that, if someone's talking to them and say, hey, don't do it, you're gonna get a ticket, and they consistently do it, which is sad. And I brought this up numerous times too, and I wish this comes to fruition, especially for the Environmental Commission, lids. The other day it was windy and everybody takes part in the program for the and I might be saying it wrong, the plastic wrap. I can't tell you how many I saw blowing in the street because they have the bucket. There's no lid on it. It was very windy and it's just blowing. And then I also noticed when the buckets are out, there's people who walk down the street and see the buckets and they're throwing trash in there. And I saw one with dog poop in there and I see one with just garbage in there. So I'm assuming you guys don't want that in with the film, but maybe if there's lids on it, it will hinder it from other garbage going to it because it's counterintuitive, right? You're taking your time, you're doing the right thing, you're putting it in the bucket, but then it's blowing around on the street. So, I don't know why we can't be efficient and work smart here. And last but not least, I know Mr. Cassidy or Councilman Cassidy, you mentioned, you said you supposedly helped out and helped with getting some of the trees and brush and stuff off of Cedar Street. I was just curious, when are they gonna pick up leaves? I haven't seen any leaves picked up at all in December. I've checked all my cameras because we're lost like 4 parking spots on the street because there's been leaves in there for the whole month so far. And I saw on the website, the pickup was supposed to be on the west side, I think December 9th.
I'm not sure the exact dates of when they're
I think,
coming.
Darren, those are all day-to-day management operation questions when it comes to DPW, when it comes to traffic safety. So Darren, if you're on the line, do you have any answers to any of those things in detail?
Yeah, sure. So on the parking,
Can't hear
the
you.
unhitched. How about now?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay. So as far as the unhitched trailers, we have been issuing summonses. We did specifically get the 3 that are on Willow Street, but the summonses are fine. The people, don't necessarily move them immediately. Hopefully they'll move them soon. One is not even, I didn't run the plate myself, but it's like the back end of a semi trailer and it's not, I'm sure registered anywhere locally. So I don't know how quickly they'll get that one out of there. But we have issued summons. I'm sorry.
You just got muffled there for a second. I don't know what you're doing.
Sorry, the reception's probably not great, but at any rate, we have issued summonses for trailers. And we're seeing compliance, but not 100% compliance yet. But it's only been about a week and a half that we've been issuing summonses, so it should get better. As far as the leaf pickup, I know DPW has been out there every day. I just talked to Terrence 2 days ago. They were picking up on the north end of the west side, but there's a lot of leaves out and they're doing the best they can to get to them all. As far as cars parked on the wrong side of the street, I mean, actually our numbers have gone up. They're issuing over 1,500 tickets a month, but obviously we don't get every illegally parked car. It doesn't get a ticket. We do what we can.
What about cars parked on sidewalk?
It's the same answer. I mean, if an officer or a parking officer sees it, they issue it a ticket, but we certainly don't see every illegally parked car.
And just for the record, this is on, Shrewsbury Avenue, so I'm assuming they go down that street and the car on the wrong side of the road is literally in front of the police station. So they do go in and out the entrance there. And last but not least, and unfortunately, this is not to belittle or say anything bad, but it's more of a helpful thing. With the amount of homeless in town, here's one picture of someone's cart that was left out on the street for 2 days. And there was another one down at the other end of the bridge. Is there a place or something that we can do that could, obviously, people that are homeless need these clothes and need these articles? Is there some kind of program where they can store their cart? And not just leave it on the street, so it could be taken or pushed in the middle of the street. I mean, unfortunately, people do nefarious things. I mean, if someone just rolled this right into the street, it could cause damage. Like I said, this is just one picture. There was another cart at the other end of bridge. Just for food for thought, for safety and safe streets.
Yeah, no, I'm not aware of a current borough program or a place to store the carts, but it's certainly something we could look into. I mean, I know that they have the warming centers. Obviously, we're doing what we can to support that community, but that's certainly another idea that we can look into.
I can give you one example of the community coming together and the resources coming together to protect an unhoused person's property, if that's appropriate and would help give you some answers.
No, I'm just wondering if if we see this, I don't know why it's there. I just don't, A, I don't want no one to push it in the middle of the street, and B, if there's something, to your point, the warming stations can help them out because they collected all these their items. We don't know if it could be personal items in here. I would hate for them to lose it, right?
Absolutely. So I can tell you that recently, I saw a homeless person. It was 11 o'clock at night. It was very cold outside. I believe it was a code blue night, which I've served on the code blue committee since its inception in 2018. For the public listening, I also just want to take this opportunity to let you know, we also have one of the first women's warming centers now in Red Bank as well. Saw this gentleman. It was very cold outside. I immediately alerted the chief. He unfortunately had medical reasons that this individual actually had to go to the hospital. I emailed the chief and I said, I'm worried about their property. It's still outside. And I just wanted to thank, there was a business owner that actually took those belongings in. The police collected them and put them into storage. So I just want to take the opportunity to talk about the humanity that actually is in place here with the leadership of this town, that the police were kind enough to collect those belongings, put them into proper storage, and that the gentleman was escorted to the hospital. So people are paying attention here to these things, and we are connected to those resources. So, and that was just a couple weeks ago.
And that's my point, is humanity. I mean, could be their extra coats or extra socks.
100%.
Their personal last picture of the kids we don't know. And then the flip side of it is the safety of it. God forbid that cart rolls in the middle of the street.
Absolutely.
And that's a busy street.
Thanks everybody caring. Thank you.
Anyone else? Public comment? Anyone online, Laura? No hands.
Nobody online. No.
All right, can I have a motion to close the public comment?
So.
Have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, mayor and council comments. You want to start over there? Mr. Cassie, anything to add?
I want to wish everyone, however they're celebrating, happy holidays, happy new year coming forward. We won't be seeing y'all till the new 2024. Got to attend 2 Christmas tree lightings. I went to a menorah lighting where I lost at a game of dreidel with Rabbi Harrison's son Shmuel, but he deserved the guilt. Last night, I had a tremendous privilege to serve as a panelist. Pastor Porter from Red Bank was on the panel as well with me, amongst other folks from the greater Monmouth. The greater YMCA of Greater Monmouth County had its Model UN ramp up for the middle school and high school students, and it was just so refreshing. First off, Brookdale hosted it, and it looked like $1 million. These kids were treated like they were just the superstars that they were last night. And it was just such a privilege to get to offer them some guidance and some feedback, and to wish them well as they head off to Hershey in the beginning of January to represent Monmouth County in a national competition. The 23rd is Santa Run. It's the last night to register. So if anyone's out there still thinking about it, you can still register for Santa Run. Go to the Hook and Ladders website. It's going to be a tremendous night. And if you're coming from out of town, we have 2 restaurants sponsoring stops with Santa. That's Gianni's and New Corner. And I just want to reflect briefly. We had a fire on Spring Street yesterday, and as a firefighter, you just remember those fires that happen right around the holidays more than any other fires for whatever reason. Those where we lose life as well, for that matter. But I sat with a little girl yesterday. She's hugging her pet chinchilla Maria and just talking to her about it. And I just want folks to think about the resources we have in Red Bank. The Red Cross was brought in, and there's a lot of ways that people can be helped in this town. I remember that press conference we had just exemplifies that. I'm so proud to be a member of the fire department. I'm proud that I can serve my neighbors, and my neighbors serve me willfully. We all left our jobs. We all went and we responded in a manner. Trying not to be emotional. That it just reminds me of those old barn raisings that you see out there. It's just neighbors helping neighbors, and these are folks that are going to need further help. And 2023 is coming to a close. I've only been on this council over 4 months, but I think about the vote that we have to implement the services through the police department with Source, and it's the proudest vote I have in 2023. So I wanted to share just where I land. I just think, and I think about yesterday, and that was my thought. I was like, look, there's ways to help people. And we can talk about what the mayor and councilwoman have said, but that's hard. I just want people to think about those families that are now displaced and how they can help. And I'm hopeful that there's going to be some ways that people will be able to help publicly. It's a really hard time of year, and those kids need everyone's love and support. And mercifully, that family is fully together and healthy and well. And I'm just grateful that they are. And I'm now rambling to end my 2023 season, but I appreciate everyone indulging me as I try to get my thoughts collected. So thank you.
First off, I just want to share that the senior center is having their holiday party tomorrow. If anyone is interested in attending, it starts at 11 o'clock at the senior center on Shrewsbury Avenue. I also have the privilege of attending a class demonstration by some Rutgers University students at the Blaustein School. They were their landscape architecture class, and they chose Red Bank and particularly the West Side, and came up with some innovative ways to design the Sunset Avenue area of remediation, Coffee Corral area, the train station, as well as the Count Basie and the municipal parking lot. And if budgets were unlimited, there would be a lot of things that we could probably implement. They were very creative designs for the Sunset area, Sunset Ave area, the remediation center. One thing that I did see consistently is that they created walking paths where you're basically above the area that has been remediated. And one of the ideas was to make that whole area, once it is remediated, as a place where people can learn about the impact. It's an environmental park, you know, with classes, education, and they even created a pathway that went all the way down to by the primary school, and then came up with the idea of a floating island, which would be used as an outdoor classroom with various lookout points. So it was, and at the train station, they came up with the idea of a bridge across this train station. And as someone who lives close to the train station has personally seen people run around the tracks when the train is there because they're rushing to get the train. I do like the idea if there was an elevated platform where people could get to the train safely. The other thing that has been going on, the Environmental Commission is still doing its thing. They're exploring the merits of a gas-powered leaf blower reduction effort because of the the impact to the health and safety of the workers that are using the two-stroke engines, and that's pretty important. And they're also working towards their sustainable Jersey certification. I think that's about it. I want to thank everybody for coming. I wish you all the best for all the holidays that you celebrate. And one more thing before I forget, I'd like to thank Chief McConnell for his service to us as the Borough Interim Administrator for the past couple of years. I've learned so much from you. Like when I was doing work on the Environmental Commission and plus being here on council. And I want to say that we really do appreciate the work that you provided to us. That's all I have.
Okay, I want to piggyback a little bit on Nancy's comments about Chief McConnell. I think I may have said a little of this council meeting, but also navigating us through the whole government change and reset was quite an assignment. It was very difficult on many levels, politically, and lots of details, lots of meetings here, and your service, Acting Administrator Chief McConnell, is very much noticed and appreciated. Thank you. Also, schools. Now, as liaison to the schools, I just got a note from Dr. Rummage congratulating the 2023 Governor's Educators of the Year, Crystal Hackett of the Red Bank Primary School, Crystal Finnegan of the Red Bank Middle School teacher, and a Thomas Scroll, Mr. Tom, as he's known, from the District Educational Services Professional. I thought I would mention that today because it's a nice honor for the school district. Also, I have a few things from our Park and Recreation Committee. Mentioned the tree lighting already, so I won't do that. But we are looking for donations for winter clothing for our drive. And also you can still register for our Christmas Hanukkah decorating contest. I think you do that online. And also Santa will not be writing letters back until December 18th. So you can still put in a request. Dan, if you want that letter from Santa, you can still get it to our recreation department and we'll do it. And yours truly may be doing some of the Santa phone calls upstairs in the recreation department. That's my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Laura?
Hi, I wanted to thank Chief McConnell too. He's gone beyond what I expected from him. I even met him on South Street at 7 o'clock one night. He's been very helpful in me becoming a councilwoman and learning what we have to learn. So thank you for all your service. I also wanted to give a shout out to the nurses. Thank you. Staffing has always been an issue. It's been an issue since 1976. And I'm glad that you're standing up for this. You brought up a really good story. Nurses do a lot more than people recognize. I'm glad that you also brought up the Parker Clinic and the VNA in Central Jersey. I work for both those places and they're both great services. We need more services like that. But thank you for standing up and thank you for coming. I'm glad we were able to support you and I hope you get your bills through. So we'll get back to the committees that I'm the liaison to, which is the library. And we had a meeting on November 16th. We had an audit that was very good. So that was a great thing. And I had the Animal Welfare Committee meeting this week. So there's a few things that came out of that. We've talked to the Environmental Committee about putting a town ban on pesticides that harm dogs there's some places on Maple Avenue, there's actually signs that you can't walk your dog there because there's like chemicals in what they put on the lawn. So that we're talking to the Environmental Committee about that. We also are having a pet food drive for the holidays. You'll see outside in the municipal hallway here and at Fins and Feathers. You can bring your dog and cat food there, and we are partnering with Lunch Break to have dog and cat food. They're going to have a big, on this Saturday, the 16th, at Fins and Feathers, they're going to have a big kind of a meeting with the Lunch Break, taking the dog and cat food back to Lunch Break. So that's something that we've been working on. We also had Ross Lasitra and Mike Goldfarb come to our meeting from the Monmouth County SPCA. I learned an awful lot from that talk, and I learned that we have, Red Bank has 2 halos that are police officers that work with the Monmouth SPCA. I also found out that we have 3 registered cat colonies in Red Bank, being a cat woman with three of my own cats. I was interested in this. 2 of them actually live on my street, so I'm going to make sure that I introduce myself to them.
You're so cute.
I am a cat woman. I like dogs too, though. And I just want to wish everybody a great holiday and best wishes for 2024 and stay healthy. Thank you, nurses.
Thank you.
We love you.
Thank you. Once again, I echo my councilmates' wishes for a happy holiday season full of healing and reflection. We've had so many wonderful celebrations for so many different people and backgrounds. Most recently, I went to the Virgin de Guadalupe procession, which is every year on December 12th. Find it always to be an extremely moving and meditative walk, even for myself, who's not of the Catholic faith. This year it went right down my street, Layton Avenue, and just reminds me that people are good. I'm also honored to also be a firefighter with Captain Cassidy, and we were there responding to that call together. And I just wanted to thank the mutual aid response from Little Silver, Northside, and Tinton Falls, and the RIT team from Middletown. And, you know, yeah, that was a lot. I also had the honor to meet with another one of our Girl Scout troops last week over at the charter school. They were earning their badge on how to stay strong, which was a really great conversation for me. I always love starting out with asking young girls what makes them proud to be a girl. And I always love hearing their responses. So it was a wonderful opportunity to speak with future leaders. I was a Girl Scout. My mom was a leader. I think it makes phenomenal public servants. We were just talking about all these resources in town, the warming centers that we have, Soul Kitchen, Lunch Break, this wonderful network we have that we covered in our recent press conference. Soul Kitchen had their Mistletoe Radiothon. It was held on the Boss, and I'm really happy to share that through that $72,231 were raised. So thank you to everybody that contributed to that. That includes Red Bank community members and beyond. You know, these are really important funds to, you know, help this work. If anybody wants to give to a meaningful cause, I know that myself and my council mates have been sharing online ways to do that. The new Women's Warming Center is taking in funds. They also have an Amazon wish list that's available online. The cost per night to operate that warming center is $500. And as you know, you felt it every time you go outside. It has been cold. We've already had over 15 cold blue nights. So if you're looking for a meaningful way to give back, please, you know, look into that as a way of giving. And yeah, I think I said everything I had to say before, but nurses, we love you. We love you in Red Bank. You know, we're always going to be here, and, you know, we're in full solidarity. So thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, again, I want to echo comments of my colleagues. I talk to Darren pretty much every day. The administrator, especially in our new form of government, runs the town. Jim, you will be hearing from me every day. I'm gonna need like a bat phone, like a cell phone, never off, you know, stuff goes down here. But anyway, yeah, Darren, I could not have, I probably could have done the job without you, but it would have been done poorly. So, very grateful for your support and your knowledge, your institutional knowledge of Red Bank. So, you will be missed. You know, we were talking about all these services here in Red Bank, and Bonnie Featherstone, who is a volunteer at Lunch Break, came to see me in my open office hours on Monday with a woman, Gabby Tonella, who's a gardener. And they're looking to start a community gardening program. Lunch Break in 2023 served over 100,000 meals. The number of people who are shopping in their pantries, and it's up 61% from January to November. what I liked about this program is they literally want to talk, if you have a garden, consider setting up a box in your garden and donating that food to lunch break, and maybe we can get some community garden stuff happening.
Fresh produce.
I liked, fresh food, so much of the food drives, and I'm not knocking that, but it's a lot of canned stuff and processed stuff, and there's a definite need for fresh produce, obviously. So you can reach out to lunch break, ask for Bonnie, or you can reach out to me and I'll put you in touch with her if anyone wants to, do some community gardening. That would be very cool. Lots of great celebrations. The Hanukkah menorah lighting we did at Riverside Gardens. I was at the light up, the big concert on Broad Street right after Thanksgiving.
Holiday Express.
Holiday Express. Thank you, Ben. Thank you. Next year, I'm going to see if they'll let me sing the Hanukkah song.
Okay.
But we have a year to plan it. So
I can't wait to see that.
anyway, thank you all for being here. I hope everyone enjoys the holidays, and we will see you January 1st.
Yeah.
Thank you. Manager's report.
All right. Darren, you want to give your
Last.
manager's report?
Sure. First of all, thank you for your nice comments. It's been challenging, but an honor to serve in this other position, and I'm looking forward to working with Jim. So I'm going to take my time to mostly talk about two projects. Briefly, the Mechanic Street Road Improvement Project. We had our pre-construction meeting this week, and that's due to kick off right after the new year with the goal of wrapping it up by the very beginning of May. So that's a road project to improve. We're doing a water main, as I think Greg or somebody alluded to earlier, and some concrete work and a repaving of the road, removing the concrete decking that's currently on the roadway. And then the bigger project that I want to talk about, and while I'm speaking, I'm just going to let Jackie Floor, our project engineer, in just in case she has something to add. I'm just going to give her permission to talk in case I miss something. But as you know, we've been doing a lead pipe replacement program since, I guess, the middle of last year. I think July of this year, I guess we started it. But the bonding was approved previous to that. Just as a refresher for everybody who's listening, we borrowed just under $4 million from the iBank to do test pitting and lead pipe replacements on a census tract that takes up most of the west side of town, basically everything south of Mama Street and west of Maple Avenue. We test pitted every property that we did not know the material that was underground there. We identified everything that was underground in each one, and then started replacements. The number of replacements is higher than we originally anticipated. So we're going to look to move into another phase of replacing the remainder. So the bottom line is that our recommendation will be to the iBank, if you recall, had authorized up to $8.8 million in funding with 50% principal forgiveness. We took advantage of that for just under $4 million on the first round of this, with 50% principal forgiveness. So almost $2 million in free money, I guess it was. And then these are rough numbers. So the next phase, to replace the remaining lines that we identified as being lead or galvanized lines in the census tract we're currently working on, will cost us another $1.8 million above and beyond what we already allocated. So we would like to do that and get those known lines replaced, so that we know we can guarantee that drinking water for those homes is safe. But the next phase we'd like to also move into is a phase what we're calling 2B, to test pit the remainder of the town. To test pit every property in Red Bank that we don't know the number of lines on, besides ones we already test pitted, would be another $2.4 million on top of the numbers I already talked about. But there's two main advantages to that. If we test pit the remainder of the town, we will then know exactly how many lead and galvanized lines we have to replace by 2031, I believe is the statutory deadline to replace them. It's a lot easier for us to gauge funding and to ask for funding if we know exactly what we're asking for. Right now, we don't know if we're looking to replace 500 lines or 1,500 lines. So by test pitting, when we will know an exact number, we'll be able to request funding for that amount, and we'll be able to go out and do bids that are accurate and know exactly how many lines are being replaced by the contractor. All of this with the soft cost and everything will come to just under the 8.8 that was originally authorized by the iBank. the CFO, myself, and Jacqueline Flora, our project engineer, met with the I-Bank, and they authorized us to continue if the council authorizes it, to continue and to do all of these test pits and to replace all of the lines that are known on the west side of town, up to that $8.8 million. Again, 50% principal forgiveness with the caveat that the 2.4 million on the east side of town will likely not have the principal forgiveness because it's not in the census tract that meets the socioeconomic needs to meet to the threshold to be 50% principal forgiveness. But we do get a very competitive interest rate on that money. So yeah, if you look at the 8.8 million almost that will be actually borrowing, except for the 2.4 and a little bit of soft costs, so say $3 million in rough numbers, the rest of it will principal forgiveness will be 50%. So we're talking $5 million with principal forgiveness for half of that. So we're going to be getting almost $3 million in essentially free money, and then the rest at low interest. So we think it's the best way to go. The I-Bank and DEP tended to agree with us. If the council, if it's the will of the council to move forward, then in January we would be introducing a bond ordinance to authorize us up to the 8.8 million. And just one more caveat is that if we don't actually spend that much money, if we end up needing less, we don't actually borrow it. We don't borrow it until we're actually spending it. So if you authorize up to 8.8, but we only end up spending 7.8, then we're only borrowing that amount of money. It's just giving us authorization so that we can award and so that we can secure the funding from the I-Bank. So that's basically it. Jackie, did I miss anything important?
Nope, you got it. You got it 100%.
Hey, can I just ask a quick question?
Sure.
So the funding that comes from municipalities, does that come from the water utility or from taxes?
The debt would be paid out of the water utility.
That would be paid out of the water utility. Thank you.
Okay. And any other immediate questions for Jackie or? Okay.
Do you have anything else on your report there? Or is that it?
No, that's it. I just wanted to cover that. Basically, the rest is all, the end of the year or the budget's going well. I will give that. Tom and I have been working on the budget. All the department heads have submitted it. We're reviewing it now. And, when Jim gets on board, we'll review it with him and, try to stay on track to have a budget adoption by April this year. So, but, and we're finishing out this year pretty healthily. There were a few transfers tonight, but for the most part, this year finished out well. And I do see, just as I'm good with my report, Mayor, but I do see that somebody raised their hand. I don't know if it's based on what I just reported on or something else. I just noticed it now on my screen. Mary Beth Blackham had her hand up.
No, it's no public comment right now. We have to open.
No, it's not, but I don't know exactly when it went up.
I think we moved on. I'll reach out to Mary Beth and see what her question was, see if I can get it answered.
We need to replace lead pipes. It's good to know what lead pipes we have to replace.
Yeah, for sure. We'll be discussing that in the new year. I can say I'm personally in favor of moving ahead and getting the lead pipes replaced as soon as possible. But having said that, can I have anything else? Anyone?
We have an executive session today, Mayor?
We do?
We do.
We do?
Okay, I need to discuss with you, yes. It'll be very brief. I just want to inform you of something that's confidential.
Okay, so then a motion to adjourn to executive session.
I'll make such a motion.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We take 5 minutes.
Yeah, we'll take 5 minutes. We're gonna ask everyone to clear the room so we can go into executive session. It's usually a personnel issue, but go ahead and give your disclaimer.
So for the public's benefit, the executive session discussion will
Nurses.
be about anticipated litigation out of his business application. And it will take about 15 minutes. And no action will be taken after executive session.
Good, Dan.
Thank you.
That's what I signed up for.
Vice President, what are you?
I'm here to try.
Neighbors losing their house.
I'm sorry.
What I really.
Also have a Oh, yeah. I used to work there. The very first. I used to work there and move here, but there's not going yeah.
Something important. This was your last council meeting?
Yeah.
Basically,